Okay, so the recording has started. Fire it up, guys. Get really fired up tonight. I like to open it up with this. I think you guys will, if you've been on my list for a while, you work with me in my projects in the past 2.5 years, you'll notice that I don't bring just anybody on calls. You know, I think when I come across somebody that's changed my life, and then not just one time, but long-term friends looking back into the days where I was struggling financially. My wife and I were looking at something else to do, and I'll go into that backstory here in a second. I think it's important to realize that it's always good to give back and pay respects to those that helped you along the way when you got there. And when I say that is, I mean that in a genuine manner, that you have to understand when you come across certain people that may implant something in your mind to just trigger, even if it's just that one statement that just changed your life. That's all it took. Really, if that was a nugget that took you from being stuck at $100 a month, which is where I was at. Lucky if I even made that in any sales business, to producing $3,000 my first month with working with a gentleman. That's life-changing. For some folks, $3,000 is a pretty big deal, especially in the industry of working from home, network marketing. So let's begin with the backstory. Okay, I was. You guys are not going to see anything if you guys are dialed into the webinar. I realize a lot of folks I dial into the phone call. You're not going to see anything visually until I share the screen. So just hang in here with me for a second, and so I can get back to the story. Then you'll get to meet what I have on the screen. The visual side is on the screen, by the way. If you're on the phone, don't worry about it. It's not really a visual presentation. I just wanted you guys to see who your speakers are tonight. So back to the story. It was 2008. Okay, I got involved with this high-end ticket sales business through a friend of mine that I came across after spending $10,000 into like a real estate deal with Robert Kiyosaki. I went down the path of following him for a while, reading his books. And then I got involved with this company. If you guys know my backstory, I got involved with a real estate company called New Barish. After a year and a half of not making any money, I got really burned out. And so I went to some friends in the industry. I said, look, I think the high-ticket sales deal is not for me right now. I think the crash of the banks in '08 really hurt a lot of people from getting loans. So I'm looking for something, in the ballpark of a $500 ticket instead of a $20,000 ticket, which is what I was trying to market back then. Regardless, he gave me, this gentleman gave me 3 different referrals, okay? 3 different referrals. The first gentleman, I think if you got a spouse, you guys can appreciate this. When you first meet somebody in this industry, you want to work with somebody that's genuine. And so I grabbed my wife because I'm a little bit more responsive to things, and I jump into things, and she's more of the logical one, saying, let's take a step back and let's look at what we have in our plate here. So we interviewed 3 different couples, as a matter of fact, and it turned out that after the 3rd couple, Mr. Scott and Molly, and his lovely wife, Molly Aguilar, I'm going to share my screen now. These are the folks that really took us. You guys should be able to see my screen there. These are the folks that really took us to the next level, okay? I met them at a Starbucks with my wife here in Temecula, California. Ironically, we actually live in the city. We bought a house here, as you guys know, back in November after really losing everything. Not too long ago, 4 years ago. You just kind of hit the reset clock. But I met them in '09. I remember it was '09, and I remember sitting down with them, and they said something that really stood out to me. He said, look, Cesar, I came from, working a corporate job and getting so sick and tired of being sick and tired, really. And there isn't many good things I'm good at, but I'm really good at building these types of businesses, a network marketing type business. And that just sparked interest in my mind. I said, well, okay, I'm a technical guy, so if this guy says he's not very good at, if he's only good at doing this and I'm technical, I got to be pretty smart, right? I mean, that's the ego. That's the ego talking in your mind. So I ended up working with Scott and Molly, and I got to tell you guys, from the very beginning, they're very good at being consistent. They're very good at the mindset stuff where I struggled in the beginning. And so my hopes tonight is that they, Scott brings some of that value to you guys, and they work it as a husband and wife type business. Now, this is going to be a generic call. It's not going to be a pitch to a business opportunity, so you guys are safe to, text your friends and get them on the call if they can still get in. But this call is really intended for you guys to ask questions. If you're dialed into the webinar, you should have received an email with a link to the webinar. You should be able to punch into questions in the chat. I'll make sure to drill Scott if he, after he shares his story and his backstory. I'll make sure to ask those questions, and we'll cover as many as we can here in a short period of time. But the intention tonight is really to get you guys some value. Okay, the value that took me from not making any money to just going to 4 figures. Okay, and those 4 figures took me to 5 figures, which is where I'm at right now, multiple 5-figure monthly income with my business, because, believe it or not, even though Scott and I aren't working the same business opportunity, because I kind of built my own system, the fact that what he taught me was some of the stuff I still use today. For example, I think this is huge value. Some of you that have gotten a call from me on the phone when I first started building my business, and maybe I got a 3-way call. Scott probably will throw some backstory on this concept, but maybe they don't realize they say it, but every time I did a 3-way call, he got me really good at 3-way calls. Like, he would say, hey, you know what, just throw them at me, put me on a 3-way call, and I'll show you the process. Well, these are tools that I still use today, ladies and gentlemen. I remember him, I put him on the phone with my friend, John, and John, the very first thing that Scott says, he says, hey guys, hey John, this is Scott coming at you, my beach home at Carlsbad, California. Welcome to what's going on. And that phrase, welcome to what's going on, was like, wow, that's pretty welcoming, that's inviting. And so that stood with me. I actually use that again to this day, because I feel like that's the opening presentation to making that person feel comfortable talking to you. Does that make sense? So if you guys are taking notes, I encourage you to bring out a notepad, take some notes tonight, because there's going to be a lot of value here tonight. I think when Scott came to me and we're working together on some online stuff, he said, you know what, I think it's time, Cesar. I've been doing this stuff for 17 years. I'm an expert. He's a pro. He's a multi-million-dollar earnings industry. He's already shown the numbers. He's got a beautiful home out in Carlsbad, California. He just finished building not too long ago. Just recent, father of a little beautiful girl. So that's the type of folks I can connect with, right? They're making it happen. He's a family man. He's making it happen with his business, and he's living the lifestyle, which is the type of folks you want to be surrounded with, right? And you got to ask yourself this question at the end of the day: if you're still working a job, nothing wrong with the job, but if you want freedom, you have to plug yourself into like-minded thinkers like Mr. Scott Aguilar. So with that said, Scott, I think you're on the call tonight. Hopefully, I'm not talking to nobody out there, but Scott just texted me because, yeah, I'm on. I listened to you a little bit here, and I appreciate you being on, my friend. Man, you've changed my life in a big-time way. Not only that, but I get to be home with my wife, all because of you and your beautiful wife, Molly. So thanks, my friend.
And you're welcome, and thank you, man. Thank you for having me on and a little platform here, and get to give some value to some people perhaps, and help people move forward a couple of steps. And I remember sitting there with you and Sochi, man. I remember sitting there at Starbucks, and I remember it was freezing cold, and I kept thinking to myself, why do I keep meeting people at Starbucks? I'm so cold. But anyway, man. But anyway, I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I mean, seriously, here's the deal for tonight. What I'd like to do is just, spread out, man. I want to give some value, talk about, kind of where we come from, where we came from, and it's, it's going to inspire somebody. I know there's probably that 1 or 2 people out there listening. I know there's probably a lot of people on the line, right? A lot of people are going to listen to the recording, but there's always that few, and it's the few that connect. It's the few, and what I recommend is that you all just be dialed in. Just whatever you got going on, just calm down and dial in just for a bit here, because the perspective that maybe I can share with you is from the perspective of many, many years, right? So I'm 38 years old, so who's Scott Aguilar? I'm 38 years old. My wife, Molly, she's 35. We have a 2.5-year-old little girl named Gia. We do live in Carlsbad, which is just a couple miles here from the ocean. And, so we've been in the industry, network marketing, direct sales, home business. We've been in this industry for 17 years, man. I started at 22 years old. rewind real quick to say this, 22 years old. I was living at home, right? That's a whole nother story. We don't have time for that one, but I was living at home, mom and dad, and working at Bank of America and going to school full time and doing what everybody told me to do, especially my aunts and uncles. And, hey, good job, you're in school, good job. It was always pat on the back, good job, you're in school, right? And so I did that. I played that song and went through that. My dad came to me, and my dad's like, hey, there's a way for you to make a lot of money, part-time and this and that, and you should check it out. And my dad owned a construction company, and I knew that if my dad was going to do something that had to be worth his time, he's a busy guy, and he told me, he said, no, my electrical contractor named Rich, who lived in Vacaville, got started in this home-based networking thing, and he's doing like $30,000 a month. And he came up here, showed me his checks and this and that, and I'm in. Let's do it, right? This is my dad telling me this, right? And I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. It's not my thing. I'm not into it. I'm not in. I'm just going to work at the bank. I'm going to work at the bank. I just got a raise. I think I'm at like, whatever per hour now. And I was in momentum. When you're 22, you're in momentum. You are, right? Because look, you're 18, 19, 21, 22. You're in momentum. You're building something. You're kind of moving up, right? And so even though it was low income momentum, I still felt in my gut that I was moving. And so I wasn't totally open. It wasn't until about 6 months later that there was a lady at the bank. She walked out of her review. She had a button on. The button said 32 years at Bank of America. I remember being 22 years old and just the feeling that I got looking at her, looking at her button, looking at her, looking at her button, and I'm like, dang, I just was like looking for the window, man. I wanted to jump. I'm just like, this is crazy. And along the way, over those 6 months or so, my dad just kind of nagging me because I was living at home and he was like doing this thing and getting all excited. And, he'd be excited for a couple of days and I wouldn't hear about it for a while, You know how some people are, right? So, but, I remember, sitting back in the break room at the bank, and I remember looking at the organizational chart of Bank of America, and I remember the people at the top and the other people and then the other people, then the other people, and all the way down to the bottom. And they had like no respect for me whatsoever. They misspelled my name. It was they spelled it Teller. Teller, right? No respect. All these other people had real names, right? But you guys, so all this stuff's kind of coming full circle in my mind. That wow, because I was like, I'm just like anybody, in the networking or multi-level space or affiliate marketing. If you refer another person, whatever. Oh, you make money off somebody. Oh, somebody above you. Oh, I was kind of in that bubble until I started seeing this stuff, and then I kind of woke up a little bit when my dad had me do payroll, and he was paying some of these guys on some of these construction projects like $50 an hour, and for them that was a lot of money. They're singing songs, dancing on tables, and they're going out Friday night, whatever. But he is inside playing solitaire while they're out there hitting their finger with a hammer, and he's billing them out at $110 an hour. He's billing them out at 110. He's paying them 50, right? And so he had lots and lots and hundreds of these people working. I'm thinking my dad's making like at least $3,000 an hour playing solitaire, and these guys are making, right? So all of a sudden, this idea of getting paid for other people doing stuff, it got me excited. I'm like, wow, this could work, And then he said, hey, come on down to a training. Come on down to a training. You can meet some people. And I'll never forget the feeling that I had when I walked into my first event. And I don't know, those of you listening into the line right now, if you've been to any type of a event, home-based business, any type of an event, but that first time that you went, that first feeling was like, wow, these are a bunch of weirdos. This is like the super freak happy people. This is like nutty, man. Everybody is smiling. Everybody's like high-fiving. And at Bank of America, that's not the case, right? So, but you know what? Man, I liked it. My energy was like, man, I like, and then they're talking about, doing stuff and stretching and becoming more, and then these stories of other successful people. So, at that point, I just got this idea, we can do this. And you guys, at that moment, man, I was driving a Honda Civic DX. I don't know if you know a Honda Civic DX. It was like 1995, I think the year was. The payment on it, I think, was $265.18. I paid on it for 5 years, the same thing. And I remember stressing out about that payment, too, back in the day. It's kind of funny. But, I didn't have a stereo. I had a ghetto blaster in the back seat. Some of you don't know what that is, but it's a big stereo. It has speakers, and it plays music. Okay, you can find it at some antique shop. And I had some tapes, and they were from my garage, because when I was growing up, my dad was in Amway, a company called Amway. My dad was in Amway 5 times when I was growing up. And if you're in Amway on the line right now, props to you. This is not about any one company, but I'm just saying this about my dad and that experience. And that is the fact that he was in Amway 5 times, and guess how many times he quit? 5 times, right? He quit 5 times. But he had so many tapes, man. He had tapes, seminar, this, books, all this stuff. So what I did, I started listening to these tapes. I started just replacing the A word with the other word, right? I'm like, okay, cool, right? I'm just, and all of a sudden, I'm getting pretty fired up. So my problem then, and this is going somewhere, bear with me, is that I didn't have any influence. I'm 22. I live up in the sticks, nowhere, Arnold, California, which is east of Modesto, Stockton, in the Central California area. More squirrels and raccoons than people, right? That's where I'm from, my wife and I. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I got to find some people. I've been in this gig for a little bit, a couple of months. I got to find some people. And I remember going to Sonora, the big city of Sonora, right? I think they had 2 stoplights, right? And so, I'm going to go to, they had a Walmart. Anywhere that there's a Walmart, right? It's a big place. So I'm going to go there, because where I was at, we didn't even have a stoplight. I'm going to go there, 45 minutes away, and on the way there, driving in my Honda Civic DX, and the reason for me going there was to meet people. I'm going to go find me some people, right? That's what I thought. This is before MySpace, Facebook, social media stuff, all that stuff, right? This is it's probably 2001, maybe 1997, 1998, okay? And so anyway, so I go over there. I'm listening to this audio tape. Just bear with me. Sit in my passenger seat with me as I'm going. You're in my passenger seat. I'm in the driver's seat. We're going to Sonora, and in the back seat, I have a stereo, and it's playing these Amway tapes, right? And it's like, you can do it, you can do this, and you can make it happen. And the promise is worth the price that you have to pay to make it happen. One day you could be free, and you could live this life, and I'm just like, man, I'm dialed in, right? And I'm getting there. I get to Walmart, and I'm sitting in my car, and I'm listening to that tape, and I'm like, well, the tape's almost done. I should just keep listening. And then my boombox had an automatic, flipper over deal, right? So it just started playing the other side of the tape. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like,
you're taking me back, man.
Like, oh, yeah, dude. Hey, it flipped over. I'm gonna keep listening. I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm gonna keep listening, right? You guys. I sat there in my car, and I didn't get out of my car. I didn't get out of my car. And just saying it, I just get the chills even saying it, just because of the feeling that I had. And I don't know, I felt defeated. I felt, I just like, man, like, what's wrong with me, right? It was the what's wrong with me, like, all this hip-hop and all this stuff, and you're great, and, and I didn't even get out of my car. I was just too scared. What am I going to say? What if they say, what is it? What if they say, I was just afraid. So I started driving home, 45 minutes home. I started driving home, and I remember I had another tape. So I popped in. I had tons of tapes in the back seat. I'd throw in another tape, right, trying to keep my spirits up. I'm not crying, right? I'm beating myself up, really. I'm just like, come on, man, what the heck, and yeah, I don't know if everybody's ever been there before, but just kind of had that head talk, and I remember, I don't remember what was said, but I was driving through Avery on my way home to Arnold, which is another 10 minutes away. I remember exactly where I was at, what corner I was turning, and I remember somebody said something, some guy said something on that tape that stuck in my gut, and I don't know what it's just crazy. I don't even know what it was, but it was powerful enough to keep my head in the game. It was something about paying the price. It was something about it's worth it. It was, you know what I mean? It was that idea. And you know what I decided? I decided at that moment that I was going to make it happen. And it's not that I didn't say I was going to make it happen before, but it was a feeling that I had just never felt before.
Wow.
Right? So we started making a little bit of money. We started making money. When you're 22 and you're 19 and you start making $4 or $5 grand a month. I mean, you think that you're you're like, woohoo! You don't have big expenses. You're driving a car that costs $250 a month or whatever, So needless to say, within a matter of months, we were able to walk off our job. People ask me if I had mixed emotions about quitting my job. I'm like, absolutely. I've always had mixed emotions about quitting my job. It's been joy and happiness.
Nice.
Right? And so, but that was 17 years ago, right? And so psychologically unemployable. There's some of you on the line right now, you're psychologically unemployable. Just the thought of it just puts you into a tailspin. What? Work for somebody? What? And not set my own hours, not this and that, because maybe you've had a taste of freedom, right? Well, that's kind of what happened to us. And I just want to say that, we moved out. We went to Santa Rosa, California, which is north of San Francisco. We were out there for 5 years, and about 2 years into it, there was family drama, right? We had some family drama in part of our family, and life just kind of happens, man. So when life happens, you just got to know life happens, and you stay in the game. We had a vision bigger than our problem. You know what I mean? We had a vision bigger than our current overwhelming feeling of drama, situation, family stuff, right? But it took us out of the game for a while, We had some big family drama. It kind of took us out of the game, and to the point that, I didn't want to talk to anybody. The team, I remember throwing a team event, and, at one point we threw a team event. We had our apartment clubhouse, and, we had all these chairs set up, and we're pumped, and we got food, and we got dip, and all this stuff, and it was going to be at 7 o'clock, and 6:45, we're excited, getting the chairs together, getting the whiteboard there. I had everything I was going to go over and coaching, and we were making some money, right? I mean, I don't know, 6, 7, 8,000 a month, whatever. We were making some money, and I remember no one showed up. 7:15, no one. This is our leaders meeting. 8 o'clock, my fingers were all orange from the chips, right? Nobody showed up. And, so up and down, up and down, up and down, rebuilding. And we went to an event that changed everything. And I'll transition and give you a little bit of value here on a training topic, if I haven't already given you some value. We went to a training event. These people, out in Sacramento, they said, hey, we're going to have a big event, so we rallied all of our team. We're like, we're going, man, because I remember showing up to events, and we had more people there than anybody. We all sat together, and it's like we dominated, right? We became really good promoters, okay? And but anyway, this day, I remember this event, Sacramento, 2 hours away. Molly and I, we drive over to the DoubleTree Hotel where we're going to meet everybody to go to Sacramento to the training event, that full-day training event. And we're going to meet everybody in the morning just like we always have. And we got over there, and nobody was there. None of our team, again, was there, right? I keep telling these sad stories. I promise I'll tell a happy one. But nobody was there. And it was so easy to go home, just to say, forget it. No one in our team's even here. Why should we go? No one's going. No one's going to go. But I don't know what it was. It was like, maybe it was Molly. Maybe she said, I already did my makeup. We're going. I could imagine it. I'm already up. We're going, right? And maybe she was the voice of reason at this point in that day. But I remember going by ourselves, and on the way there, her and I discussing back and forth, what's wrong? What are we missing? What's the deal? And when you're in a spouse relationship, when both of you are in the business, and I'll talk about that here in a sec if you'd like, but when we got there and we sat there, we were there for us. We didn't have anybody in our group. Sometimes when you're there and you have people there, you're putting yourself in their ears, that you're hearing it from them. And what's insane is that if somehow you can be at an event, whatever type of an event, and you be there for you, because that day changed everything for us. We went from struggling to hitting 5 figures plus, boom, 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 life changed. I mean, we learned how to close. We learned how to get people started. We learned how to assumptively enroll somebody into a program. We learned that if they don't run, they probably want in. They just need a little encouragement, right? We learned some of this stuff that one day. That one day changed it all, you know. Let me rewind and talk about a spouse. You know, I've been blessed. You know, Molly, day one, I recruited her. You know, I recruited Molly into the business, and, you know, it was funny because I didn't have the money to join. Back in the day when my dad showed it to me, I didn't have dad. I work at Bank of America. I have no money, right? I have a job, and I spend everything I make, you know. And so I had to go get a job across the street. So I get a job across the street as a server. And while I'm there as a server, there's this cute girl there. She's got this curly hair and these eyelashes that are just like boom, right? And I remember asking her, I'm like, do you curl those things? Like, do you? She's like, no, they're natural or something. And I was like, hey, are you open to making any extra money? I don't know what I said, but I said something that was good enough. And anyway, so she ended up getting started. And she was with somebody else at the time. I was just focused on, okay, let's build a team, make some money. She's pretty. She's got good energy. I like her to be around. You know, it's kind of what I was thinking. And anyway, long story short, we got married. We had a dream wedding out in Jamaica. And I tell you all right now that, you know, if you throw something on a vision board and you zoom in on that and you're focused on where it is that you want to go and you got it in front of you all the time and you're talking about it, you're on it, it'll happen. It'll happen. As long as you're taking action. It can't just be you make a vision board and you sit there and you just do nothing, right? But we had a vision board of a dream wedding on this 6-mile, 7-mile, you know, beach in McGrill, Jamaica. We're going to fly all of our friends and family out there. And it was far-fetched, man. It was like 40 G's, and, you know, we only had maybe $500, right? But we still wanted to do that. We didn't have any, you know, I don't come from deep-pocket family, neither does she, and we didn't have any money. You know, we had to do it all ourselves. And, you guys, anyway, we were able to make that happen, and that was, you know, that was huge, right? That was a dream for us. That was a network marketing, you know, goal that we as a couple accomplished. And I'd say this about working as a couple. Sometimes, see, in the beginning what would happen is that she would kind of ride on my coat strings, okay? I would be the front leader. I would do this. I would do that. I would speak and all this. And then we'd leave. She'd be sitting with me. Then we'd leave, and she says to me, oh, you should have said this, and you should have said that, and you should have said that. And it wasn't like negative on me. It was just stuff, honestly, that was probably good, constructive criticism. But when it comes from your spouse, it just feels a little different, right? And so I was like, hey, why don't let's, you know, at some point what ended up happening, she like started doing it. She like started doing little meetings and started getting it going. And pretty soon she had a group and I had a group. And pretty soon we got 2 groups. They're all over the place. And then I kind of help her with some of her people. She kind of helps me with some of my people. It's like we had 2 teams and 1 team, if that makes sense. And that seemed how to do it, because if doing it the other way with a spouse, and maybe you're working with a spouse, and here's what we've experienced. We're in a car, visualize this, we're in a car and we both are grabbing the steering wheel at the same time, right? That's what it felt like. And it was kind of exhausting, and it stressed our relationship. And it was so much easier when she did her thing, I kind of did my thing, and it wasn't, hey, what's going on with so-and-so? Hey, how's so-and-so? What's up with that? What's up? And it wasn't constantly at each other. And that was a really positive thing for us. And, you know, maybe just that little idea right there can benefit somebody tonight of giving the spouse some space. And here's the other thing, too. You know, being an entrepreneur and having the vibe and the mindset, and what you need to know is that it's not better than, right? It's not better than somebody that chooses to have a career. You can't think of it like that. You can't think ego-wise, I'm better this or that, right? It's different. It's different. It might be somebody's core value. Somebody else's core value really might be security. Their core, in their gut, in their fiber, in their veins, security, right? So security, even though we know as entrepreneurs, false security oftentimes is in a job, because we know that they can just snip you at any point, right? And you're toast. You're done. You got nothing, right? So, but being an entrepreneur is that energy a little bit more risky. And so know this sometimes, that all spouses are not always shooting the same, like on the same page. More times than not, opposites attract, right? More times than not. So my recommendation, especially to somebody that's supporting their spouse, or maybe somebody that's the entrepreneur on the line right now that has a spouse that maybe is not an entrepreneur, and you're kind of giving them little nudges and punches and pokes all the time, What I recommend is lay off. Lay off. Don't bring it up. You do your thing and you be successful doing your thing. You make it happen. Don't push it off on somebody else if it is your spouse, right? You don't need that energy in a relationship, right? So that's,
Scott, I think we're all, if you don't mind me inserting this, I think we're all guilty of that. At least I am. There's been points where I'm like, hey, come on, help me out here. Do some recruiting, And
right.
So I think as us men, we just got, or even whoever's building the business needs to. I love that nugget that you mentioned, because I think that opens up a lot of space and freedom for folks to just grab the bull by the horns, man. Continue. Good stuff.
Yeah, no, man up or woman up. Like, this is your thing. Take ownership, right? And so you guys listen. Fast forward. We have built it all. We have worked with all types of people. We started young. I say young. I still feel young. I'm 38. But we started in the college demographic. We started there. I could talk to you about little secrets of, college recruiting, talk to you about how we created a survey, and out of one survey got, thousands of leads just within just a day or two at a college campus. Just insane with the simple little, it would blow your mind how simple this little survey was. And another idea, lecture halls. I can't tell you how many people we've recruited out of lecture halls with a clipboard. And anyway, that's something different too. But so when it comes to recruiting and developing and building teams and working through people, yes, reaching out there and all that, you need to do that, right? Some of you are in different types of programs. Maybe you're in a one-tier affiliate program where it's just based on you recruiting, right? Like, you can do it yourself and you can, make some money, but at the other hand, if they have an affiliate program and you get a few people going, then you can make some money there too. But, so where do you find these people, right? Where do you find people maybe that want a different life? Do you go into Facebook group and you post something, or do you go on Twitter and blast them? I mean, there's some certain things that I've learned through now over 60,000 people that have come into our team over the years of what works. Somebody comes to me and they say, I got an idea. And I say, listen, I love your idea. And I'm going to tell you what, I want you and that enthusiasm to tell me what your idea is, and I'm not going to pee on your fire, but what I want you to do is just to know that I've probably heard your idea, and maybe what I can do is just kind of spin it back to you in a more effective approach, right? Because it's perspective. I talked to Cesar the other day, and I said, Cesar, there's some people in the industry maybe that have had some success. Maybe they had 100 people a month join their team, and somebody would just think, oh, my goodness, if I had 100 people a month join my team, I'd just flip my lid, right? You guys, but, from our perspective, we've had over 1,000 people a month join our group, where we've had multiple people with hundreds of people in their own groups joining their group. So it's a different level of conversation. So I can talk perspective to that new person, that new maybe stay-at-home mom, or that new, maybe that analytical person, right? Maybe a Cesar-type analytical, good at details, good at computer software stuff. And then on the flex side, too, the big business owner, right? The guy that's got a big ego, maybe on the call right now, and, maybe and you're here and you're connected and you're kind of hearing me right now, and know that, the possibility of coaching. I put together some coaching program. Cesar will hit on this just a little bit, but I know I can give value to just about wherever you're at, and the reason I know that is because I've done it. I've done it in my own team. I've done it in my own groups. I've done it with my own people, and what I love about coaching is people that are hungry, people that want real change in their life, people that really want to get to the next level, whatever the next level is. I love the hunger in somebody. I love the hungry person. But here's the thing. Wouldn't we all just love to have tons of hungry people in our opportunities coming to us all the time saying, just coach me, I'm hungry, I'll do anything you say, right? I mean, you probably have some people like that, and yes, I have, and have had many people like that. But oftentimes, some people say that to you, and then what they say is not what they do. All of a sudden, they say it, you give them some coaching, they go do something totally different, right? So where I'm at is to say to all of you listening in right now is that I know that I can give value no matter where you're at in terms of a coaching program that I'm doing, that I'm passionate about, that's a one-on-one teleconference or Skype, whatever. I don't prefer Skype or Uvu. All these young guys are all doing this video stuff. I'm like, man, sometimes I just don't do my hair, So let's just do old school telephone, right? And anyway, jump on the phone, communicate, talk, and see without, I tell people just to drop their wall. You know, I did some coaching earlier today with somebody, and I said, are you open for coaching? Great question, right? Are you open for coaching? Because you don't want a coach that can say, hey, I see this, and maybe you don't see it because you're too close to it, right? That's what happened for us. We got coached by multi-millionaire back when we were struggling, right? You know, and he pointed out some things that if he wouldn't have said, are you open for some coaching? If he wouldn't have lowered my wall, you know, I maybe would have been like, oh, no. I maybe would have thrown my hands up and got defensive about it. But because he approached it that way, that's how I've been approaching it ever since. So it seems to be working pretty well, and just really excited, Cesar. So I'll pass it back over to you, man. I know we're running a little bit late.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate you sharing some good nuggets. So, guys, right before I met Scott, I actually hired myself a coach because I was at the point in my life when I was frustrated. You know, I think we all hit that wall, and that nugget, that first hour. I remember talking to him. He opened me up, and then I don't remember exactly the details that were said. All I remember, I just started bawling, and I broke. I think I call it. You had your moment, right? And he opened me up, and as soon as he did, everything I've touched thereafter, I haven't been below $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And so it was that month, and I remember in that real estate company I told you that I was struggling. When I hired that coach, he put me to the next level, and it was at that moment when I remember saying, I'm sick and tired of doing what I'm doing in real estate. I need some passive income. I need some residual income in my life. Scott touched a little bit upon that, but basically what that means is mailbox money, right? It's a little bit of money that you don't have to keep chasing after like a traditional salesman. And I see it all the time. I mean, I got lots of friends in the real estate space still, and they're constantly out there struggling, you know, looking for that next deal to get that high-ticket sales, right? And I don't know how people do it. I mean, honestly, I drive myself crazy because I can barely have enough time right now with my kids. Imagine being out there hustling, trying to sell a home that's, you know, $340,000 out here in California average right now, and then, you know, taking 6 months to close a deal. You have no leverage in your life. Does that make sense? And it doesn't have to be just real estate. It could be the car industry, whatever. But I believe if you can dial in whatever program or business that you're building, if you can dial in and hire yourself a coach. I asked Scott to give me, you know, 2 different deals, 2 different packages for you guys tonight. I spent over $2,000 when I first started. It's not going to be anywhere close to that what you're going to be paying with Scott. But you know, I mean, Scott, you can share your time, what you're charging for coaching. If people decide to, you know, maybe take that next step, what would that look like for them? I think you put some information together on the website for folks here tonight, and I think you mentioned that you'll be able to bring that down to an affordable rate where folks can take advantage of that before tomorrow midnight, right? Because I got to do a replay for folks that couldn't make it tonight, so this will be a replay tonight, be sent out sometime tonight, and then I think you're closing the doors tomorrow night for your coaching program. But why don't you go ahead and share some details on how that works for folks that are
the coaching program, hey man, that's open right now. I'm booked out a bit, you know, but we're making things work, you know, and this is for you, man. This is for Cesar, your group, your team, your people, and it's all about value, you know. And I know from this is it, man. I mean, what Cesar said years ago, hey man, you know, I don't know how to do a lot of things, and I tell people I'm kind of boring, you know. Ask Molly, you know, I'm kind of boring socially sometimes because, dude, 17 years, my brain is on what we're doing, like tens and tens and tens of thousands of conversations, helping people overcome wherever they're at and move to the next level, and that's what I do. So, you know, whether it's conversations about, you know, self-sabotage, right? People, they get to a spot and they come right back, right? Or mechanics, or mechanics of stuff, you know, leads and closing and different types of ideas about that. I know every company situation is a little bit different, but, you know, the general idea is that people are people. And there's definitely some key things that, you know, I could bring to the table. Mindset, huge. You know, mindset's a big deal. So we can go on and on, but we put together a package for Cesar. There's a special link on the website. The general public cannot get to it. I'm like, hey, man, don't just send it out to your core group. That's cool. We don't want just everybody jumping on this particular link. But normally I do four 40-minute sessions, one-on-one, focused, me and you, and it's over 4 weeks. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And so we go about a month together, and that package is my normal package, $500, right? Simple, $500, something that is doable for most people on a credit card or whatever they got to figure out to make that happen, right? Because I know obviously I could bring more than that value back. Now for Cesar, for this group, what I did is instead of 4 sessions for $500, I did 5 sessions. So we did 5 sessions, so we tacked on an extra session for $500. Now he said, hey, we gotta have another level for some people that are just really struggling, but they really want to break through, and they'd love just to have the opportunity to jump on the phone maybe just once or twice at a lower price point. Could you do that? And while you kind of asked him, hey, where do you think it should be? And so what we did is we did 2 30-minute sessions for $150. And I don't know, even just saying that is just ridiculous, but I'm going to have that up. It'll go off tomorrow night. I'll pull it off, and it'll just go back to the normal deal, which is the 4 for $500. And you guys, it's about you. And here's the thing: you can listen to every motivational, you can listen to every CD, you could listen to every Tony, you could listen to so much great stuff. But it's you sitting down with somebody for a few minutes that maybe is closer to where you want to be than where you're at right now, just to share a little perspective with you. What's that worth, right? Just for a bit, and then to elongate that to make it more personal, to say, hey, listen, let me actually help you get there. Let's put together a plan. Here's where you're at right now. Where would you like to be 5 weeks from now? What would excite you, but what would kind of scare you, right? Or what would you like to accomplish? Or for some of you, you're like, I don't know, 4th of July is coming up. It's the holiday. It's a this and that, and got this going on. Let me tell you, the best time that you should sharpen your saw is when other people are distracted. You should sharpen your saw when other people are distracted. You guys, and that's been a big deal for us. That's how we were able to take quantum leaps in our business, because we kept our head down, focused, grinding, while other people were getting distracted. And obviously you're going to have a great 4th. I'm not, nothing on that, but just saying, it's something that we could do a session throughout the next couple of weeks or whatnot would be fine. So, Cesar, the website is X Factor Coaching. You guys write this down. X, the letter, xfactorcoaching.com/promo8. I think yours is promo 8.
Perfect.
So xfactorcoaching.com/promo8. And maybe you could send that out to your list too or whatnot, just so if they didn't write it down if they're driving.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll post it in the box. For those that are dialed into the box, on the chat box, you guys will have a copy of that link, so you don't have to type it. There you go. There's a link in the chat box. And then for folks that are dialed in that can't, write it down, there'll be a replay until tomorrow night. You guys have that. How long are you gonna cut it off with so many people, Scott? I'm just curious. Having you listen to Coach.
No. I mean, once somebody pays their PayPal, whatnot, real simple stuff. Once they're in, registered, and then I get notified within 24 hours. I'll make sure to book something with them. I may not be able to book it in the next couple of days. It may be out a little bit, but regardless, first come, first serve, and it's how it's going to roll out. And also, hey, Cesar, real quick, I just recorded a video. I recorded a video for this, for you, for your people, and it's on that site. And it's What is the X Factor? That's the title of the video. It's like 6 minutes long, but it's me explaining what the X Factor is. And I think every single person listening right now, you watch me on that video, that right there is value. It's free. So that video value tonight, right now, you can check that out, and it's on that link. So.
Absolutely. So for those that are looking at my screen, you'll see the page, and then there's a little form there for Scott's newsletter. I think, it says right there, free training video. I mentioned this in the email I sent out today, that video alone brings a lot of value. So make sure to just opt into that form, and then I guess it would be on the second page, Scott. Is that right?
Yep, it's on the second page. It just automatically goes to the second page, and
Perfect.
yeah, you get dialed in, and then you have the two different options. Pretty simple and rock and roll, man. I look forward to meeting you guys. I'm not there right now with you, sitting next to you, but if you're in Cesar's bubble and his energy and how he attracted you, and you know, here we are, and we get to get, you know, connected, and you know, it could be a big deal here going forward and really add value to you and your situation right now.
Hey, and you know, before I let you go, Scott, I really appreciate you doing that for my list. You know, for folks that are struggling, I want them to have the option to at least spend some time with you, because just any nugget that would get them to the next level. And here's what's interesting, guys. I've gotten free deals. You know, like, you know, Scott's hooked me up with some audios in the past, trying to help me get my mindset straight. But there's nothing like, you know, somebody holding me by the hand and saying, this is what's up. You know, this is what's stopping you from breaking through. And a lot of times we don't know what that is, because we're blinded. It's that ego that stops us from moving forward. And I remember pulling out the credit card, spending $2,000 for my coach at the time, before I met Scott, and I said, dang, you know, that's $20,000 of real estate school, plus another $2,000, plus $10,000 with Robert Kiyosaki. I'm $32,000 in the hole before making a single buck. But it was so worth it, because that struggle at that time stopped me from going back to work, and I just stayed focused on the main thing. And at the end of the day, you look at all the top income earners in any game, you know, sports. You know, they all have coaches, right? You know, you got Tiger Woods. You know, he's got a coach. You got you know, Jordan at his game time. I'm sure he had a coach. Every single person, to get him to the next level, there is nothing better than having a coach, and you actually paying the price, paying the ticket. You know, you're due at the door to make it to that next level. And I think at the end of the day, you know, if you're at the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, like I was, there is no amount of price that you can really put down to have somebody get you to that next level. So, you know, whatever you're passionate about in life, you know, if you're loving what you're doing right now in your current job, and maybe this income, MLM stuff, network marketing stuff is part-time, maybe let that be your part-time income, and let that take you to the next level, which could be full-time, and bring you home. I know my wife and I are planning on taking a trip with the kids here. We just got back from our third vacation in the last 4 months, which is pretty amazing. You know, I was never able to do that outside of when you're stuck at a job 9 to 5. Imagine this, you know, asking your boss just to have some time off. It was a struggle in my industry, you know, computer engineering. It's a very, very tough deal because of the amount of smart egos that are in that industry. It's almost disgusting. You know, I can only imagine what the banking industry is like. I think the sales industry is a little bit more happier than an engineer would be. But, you know, imagine working with a bunch of closed-minded people, and all they are is about themselves. And it gets to that point where I think I hit a rock in my career, where I remember playing foosball with my manager at an engineering firm, and he was this Australian guy with a heavy Australian accent. And I remember having this feeling like, if I beat this guy, is he going to be on my good side? And there's one day that he like totally pissed me off. He was looking over my shoulder in my office cubicle, and I remember that day I went in there, and I had actually bought a foosball table so I can practice, and I beat him. And it was at that point when I realized this is not about how smart you are. It's not about, you know, where you work. It's about the people that you work with. And he started to, like, you know, get to the point where he started pushing me out of the company. That's your traditional corporate mentality, folks, right? You'll notice that you meet wonderful people like Scott Aguilar and his lovely wife, or myself, and we had to change our mindset. It wasn't about us anymore. It was about how can you go pour your heart into other people and then change their lives. And I tell you what, that's when it gets exciting. You know, if you're open to that, you know, take off the, you know, leave the ego at the door for a second and just be open to the fact that you can take your business to the next level. You know, I encourage you guys to move forward and at least plug into Scott Aguilar's information here, and you know, whatever coaching package you pick, I'm sure that your spouse or yourself will thank yourself later. And make sure to send me a message, you know, either on email or Facebook, and let me know how your coaching is doing. I'm open to hearing your results. You know, this is not just about you sign up for a deal and then leaving it alone. I want to hear how you're doing, where you're stuck at, you know, and give me some feedback, because I want to make sure you feel comfortable with the amount of information you're receiving. So, yeah, opt into this page, guys. You'll see a form there, and the next page will be a video. get some information, understand the information that Scott's giving you guys can and will change your lives if you let it. So you guys deserve it. Your business deserves it. As a matter of fact, your family deserves it, because we all know that extra information to take you to the next level is not going to hurt you guys. So Scott, you want to insert anything else? Do you have anything else you want to?
The one idea that I had in my mind, man, is that dogs don't like bones. I just had that. I just saw this dog, our neighbor, and I'm just thinking, I think he's eating a bone. I'm like, dogs don't like bones. Dogs like steak. Dogs like steak, Cesar.
That's pretty good. Hey, I don't know if you remember this. I remember being in a hotel meeting, and I was telling you in the beginning. I was saying, Scott, man, I'm sick and tired of this person I'm trying to recruit. He's my best friend, man. He's not listening to me. And I don't know if you remember what you told me, but you said, Cesar, at the end of the day, and I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you got to find those folks with a spark. Like, you can't light wet wood. And that was like my favorite saying. I was like, you guys got to jot that one down, because that one is what changed my life. I stopped focusing on trying to recruit the world. Do you remember saying that?
Oh yeah, man. I don't remember that specific conversation. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, you cannot light wet wood. You can't make somebody into something they're not. You can't put a spark in somewhere where there's no spark. I've tried. It doesn't work,
So she just slapped me today. She's like, you got to make sure you bring that up, because she's like, I think that's my favorite saying that I got from, she remembered that. She actually told me today, you got to bring that up on the call. You got to mention
that's awesome.
That. Yeah, so see, it stuck with her. Even though she's not actively in the network marketing, she is always listening and being personally developed, which is something that's amazing to me. So
some of that stuff makes sense, and the simpler that we can make it make sense to somebody, I've always seen that you get more value out of the more, the simpler concepts seem to travel farther and stick with somebody. So point proven, right?
Absolutely. What was that? Just out of curiosity, what was that audio or that book that brought your relationship closer to Molly, you and yourself with Molly, and you just said, this is us, man. This is the industry we want to be wrapped around. Do you remember what that was for you? Was it like a Jim Rohn thing, or was it an old classic?
I remember in the beginning that we purchased and I probably say downloaded. That's probably the wrong thing to say. But we got so much of Jim Rohn stuff, man. We even went to a Jim Rohn seminar. We went to an Amway we heard Jim Rohn was going to be in town at an Amway convention, and we're like, all right, we're going to sneak in. While we're there, we might get some soap, or whatever, right? This guy's playing. But anyway, we saw Jim Rohn live. We saw him live, and I remember sitting there and just like, wow, man, this guy, and just the way that he speaks and how he comes across in his words, and I just thought, man, if I could ever be anything like that, if I could ever be in somebody's testimonial like how he's in my testimonial, I mean, it's huge, man. I mean, at the end of the day, all of us breathing just want to, add value, have a better life, right? Contribute. And what home-based business, network marketing, this concept gives you is time. That's really what it gives you. I mean, I don't know what's today? Wednesday? Thursday?
Wednesday, yeah.
I don't know what the day is, but whatever, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, when you're free, it really, and I know that sounds funny, you've kind of heard maybe someone joke about that before, but when you're so out of the rat race, it doesn't matter. And if you have kids, man, spending all this time with your kids, and I don't know what age your kids are, but my girl's 2.5, and I can't imagine the idea of not being there. And Daddy, I almost made it to the toilet. Look, uh-oh. I'm like, oh, great, right? This is the stuff. This is real life, and I'm there, and only a parent, I guess, can understand that part of it. So anyway, Cesar, I've got to run, man. I got another call here at 8 my time, but everybody on the line, thank you for being here tonight.
Awesome. Glad. I appreciate you being on the line with us tonight. So, guys, if you have any additional questions, feel free to shoot me a message. You can reply to the email I sent out. Here's a cool picture of Scott and his little daughter. And it's funny because I actually put my son Luke right there next to that comment. But, this is what lifestyle is about. Whatever you want to do. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what project you're working on, right? It's just a vehicle to get you where you want to be. I remember Scott telling me that in the very beginning. He says, look, it doesn't matter, Cesar. That this industry, you make it what you decide what you want to do, and it doesn't matter the product, but you got to be passionate about it. I see people doing 2 or 4 different deals, and I remember Scott saying, look, I'm not recruitable. I'm laser focused. I'll do the same deal, then I'll do it until it goes out of business, or I'll move on to the next deal. But I've never seen him jump around, do multiple deals, and so that's probably one of the influences I've had in the last 2.5 years of my project, is that he's helped me get there, right? It's that mindset. It's like, I'll look at your deals, but you got to stay laser focused till you get it to $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month, whatever your goals are. Everybody's got different goals. Lifestyles are all different for everybody. I know, for example, Scott living in Carlsbad, California is not a cheap place to live, and I'm happy for the dude. He's made it. He's made it happen. So I appreciate him being on the call tonight, guys. If you have, again, any additional questions, I'll hang out here for about 2 minutes, and then we'll close out the line here. So let me take a look here. Cool. Good to see you on the call tonight, Gilbert, out there in Texas. We got Chris Ayers out there in Texas as well. Since we have quite a folks dialed in, or actually on the line here on the website, you guys can just type in the chat where you guys are dialed in from. And I appreciate you guys being on tonight. We got folks dialed into the phone call that couldn't be on a computer. That's okay. But Gilbert's out there in Texas. You guys are welcome to type in. If you have any questions, again, you can contact me at Cesar@CesarRamirez.com, or you can just go to my website. Feel free to email me back, share some value, some questions, and give me some input. Are these webinars valuable for you guys? Does this help you with your mindset? You can just hit the contact form there at the top right, and we can keep in touch. But good to see you, Rick, out there in Washington, I believe it was. Yeah, Washington, up north. Emily, good to see you as well. Very, very cool guys. Jerry Nelson, John Wright. A lot of new names here that I don't recognize on my other webinar, so good to see you guys on tonight as well. So Teresa Cortez. Very cool. All right, guys. You guys have a fantastic night. If you have any additional questions, just shoot me an email. Well, you guys have a great night. This is Cesar Ramirez. Look out for that replay going out sometime tonight or tomorrow. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.